Hi friends, Jason Lengstorf here with another installment of 4 Web Devs, 1 App Idea. This series brings together a group of 4 web developers to build their own version of an app that has 2 constraints. 1, we all get the same prompt that our app needs to satisfy. And 2, we have a special tool or technique that we have to use as part of the build. Our prompt today is build a way to show real-time updates for a Dungeons & Dragons themed small business. Convex is the tech that needs to be included. Thanks for sponsoring. And I asked my friends Dev Cody, Anjana Vakil, and Tom Ballinger to join in on the fun today. Don't forget to let me know what you think about this episode down in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, maybe even join. And let's get started. First app here from Cody.
I do like adventure games and like medieval type of themed games, and anytime I play like Elder Scrolls or Oblivion, I'm just drawn to like blacksmithing. My idea was a blacksmith has a shop. He needs people to be able to come in and place orders for repairing their swords, and also custom orders for like building their own long swords, battle axes, etc. So that's kind of the approach I took. A really simple schema. As you can tell, it's not too advanced. I just have an order table and a repairs table. Each of these have different statuses. So that's how the schema is laid out. I use Clerk for the auth, and I have some flags to check if the user who's logged in is an admin, which I was going to show here. So I have this random throwaway email user that I created, and then using Clerk, I went in here and just changed public data to say is admin true. So now my app will check in various places in the React side of things. I'm actually using Next.js, but it'll check, and also in the middleware, certain endpoints will kick you back to log in if you're not authenticated as that admin user. And I'll show the admin dashboard, but basically it's a way for them to kind of go through all the items and like increment their statuses. Another cool thing that I love about Convex is how easy it is to just like upload files. Yeah, certain pages, like when you do things, they'll redirect you to a success page. And then we say like, we'll send you an email. So I also tried to leverage V0 and see how much I could build out in 4 hours, and like really try to use as many tools as I could. And I was trying to leverage like use AI to build out some of these pages for me, and I can come back through and just like polish them up. So I have like a couple of like nicely created components there. I don't think I even talked about it, but I called my blacksmith shop the Obsidian Forge. I got a little landing page here. Try to add some cool little, like all this is AI.
The anvil.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead and log in as a customer. So I'll just go ahead and log in with Clerk. When you go to the page as a customer, you can see all the services. At some point, I was trying to like actually add in like items, so you can like modify and sell and trade items, but ran out of time. So the first one I kind of focused on was creating an order. So you can go here. You can say, you know what, I wanna make a dagger. I'll do mithril. And then I have some custom upgrade packages. So if you wanted to do, you know, I don't know what these are. I just use GPT to give me some like DnD related buffs on items. So you do this, and then you can go ahead and submit the order, get a nice success page. And then the second thing you can do as a customer is you can go and try to repair an item. So let's try doing this one. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. All right. So they upload their broken sword. I accidentally smashed it on a rock when fighting a goblin.
That happens.
As one does.
You should see the goblin. So I also tried to do the admin side of things. You log in with a particular email, which I have this kind of hard coded here. But the goal of the admin dashboard is as a blacksmith,
Look
I can.
at
This is incredible. Like this is so this is all V0.
Not all of it's V0. I use V0 for like the initial layout, Shad CN for like majority of the components. So like a blacksmith can click on the actual like order ID and see the image and the issue. And then as they're kind of going through here, they can click move to in progress, get a nice little toast that pops up, and they can kind of go through here and just like change it to ready for pickup, just so they can manage all the items that are in their shop. Same thing with the orders. They could click on this. They get a little icon of like what the order was for. They could see the upgrades here, material types. That's about it.
I mean, this is thorough. Like you built a full like project tracker, which is pretty incredible given that you kept this pretty close to the 4 hours.
Yeah, so the 4 hours, I got all the functionality done, including like the uploading image and the blacksmith shop. I added an extra hour for coming through and adding like this, you know, subtle, I don't know if you can tell, but there's like a background pattern here, the gradients, that's the blurred circle behind the images. I tried to use Bing Image Creator to just generate generate these images real quick and some text. This also has like a subtle background. It might be hard to see this as well. So that's like the extra hour I came through and just try to like polish everything up and make it look like nice, I guess. Here's an example. Like I went to V0 and I'm like, make a page for a blacksmith to sell some items and like give me swords and stuff. This is what it gave me, right? I copied this code and I put it into my app, just kept moving stuff around, and then I started generating images, added colors to it. So I only used AI to help me with like the layouts of stuff, but it's pretty cool trying to like see how fast I can move with using everything.
Yeah, really, really solid work.
Yeah.
For me, this was the first time I was using Shadcn, and that was really helpful for moving quickly in that way. But V0 sounds like another level.
So I built an app called Quest Ferret that is essentially TaskRabbit in the D&D world. I did not write a helpful README. Instead, this README is taken from a really handy Bootstrapper Create Convex tool. So analogous to if you've used like Create Vite or Create React app, or something like that. So this is a Vite app with Clerk for authentication and then Shadcn for some UI help. This time I went kind of rogue, if you will, and decided not to define a schema. And so what's cool about Convex is that you don't have to define a schema if you don't want that enforcement. And you can put whatever in your table. So you can also just add properties called undefined all over the place. Like, for example, I asked GPT to give me some like different types of things that someone might need to do in the D&D world. And I also asked it to give me some characters. So you can filter by things like their class and filter also by score. I think most of the functionality here is happening in this questers part of the API. So this is where we can get a list of all the classes. That's sort of a generic thing. We can get a list of all of the questers, and optionally through this args property, we can pass in like an array of classes that we want to limit it to. And we can also pass in a minimum value for each of the abilities. So the only interesting part about this is that, you know, I wanted to be able to, if you don't provide any filters, give me all the questers. And if you do provide filters, filter it down the way that our convex queries, we can kind of like chain operations on the query object. So for example, I can start with like a very basic query that would get all of the items in this questers database. And then if there are classes and it's not just like an empty array, in which case I want to ignore it because that means they've unselected everything and we don't want to show them no classes, then I can essentially add this filter method, which will reduce down the set. And in the filter builder, essentially what we pass in is a function that spits out, and in this case, I want to like have an or operation on like, it's either this class in the array or that class in the array or that class. So
I got to jump in here because this is brilliant for a couple reasons. Like one, I think this is very readable, right? And I think people get really weird about like adding if statements and stuff. And I'm like, I love them. But the other thing is that as soon as I saw this, I was like, of course you can do this. But it had never occurred to me that I could break up my convex query and put like optional filters or stuff inside of conditional statements like that.
I'm not sure what the convex team would say, and we can ask the convex team in a second. But
did you see Tom's thumb just pop up?
So, for example, in the minimum abilities, it's an and that's joining them all, as opposed to an or, right? Like I want any of these classes, but all of these minimum abilities to apply, et cetera, et cetera. This is at anjana.dev/questferret. So if I say like, okay, Anjana, my quest is like slay the dragon. Well, let's see if this works. Oh, and by the way, I hope you appreciate the little footer I put in here.
Yeah,
I have a little badge with their class and their alignment. And I did a very, very fancy styling, ternary that makes sure that the neutral ones are neutral and the evil ones are red and the good ones are green. And so then if I click apply filters, now it should only show me ones who are in the correct classes, thanks to that filter that we conditionally applied. And similarly, if I'm like, oh, this is a big bad dragon, this is going to need like a lot of strength here. And then I apply. Now I only get the 2 questers who have a strength value of 18 or higher. Apply filters. And now I just get one that has the high enough score on both charisma and strength because I put that little and in the filter. I just have a little modal that's like success. I sent a carrier pigeon to so that is Quest Ferret.
So just right out of the gate, it's extremely funny to me that you were like, oh, my CSS isn't very good. I didn't do a very good job on the styles. And then you show us this. This is perfect. This is an absolutely beautiful site.
Thank you. I will take that. Also, one of my first times working with ShadCN, and please don't sue me, TaskRabbit.
Definitely like the UI. It looks really clean. And it's funny because I was working on a project that had almost the same filtering on the left. But then when I thought about implementing the filtering, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to move on to some other stuff. So the fact that I got to see like a real live checkbox filters with ability sliders and the convex backend to actually make that work, it's really nice. You did a good job.
Thank you. That's great.
Apparently, my experience with Dungeons and Dragons and associated media is that you spend a lot of time forming an adventuring party, and then another companion joins, and you have to decide who in your party to dismiss. Because in general, it feels like 4 is a kind of normal amount for a party, and then there's some other person you meet, and you want to hang out with them, but that means you have to send somebody home. So there's a hometown management consultancy called Axe and Ledger, I think. And what they take care of is that difficult process of figuring out who in your party to send home so you can hang out with this new exciting companion that you just met. So the way I did that was, see, I've got, some CRUD sorts of things where you can create a party, you can add people to the party, other people add themselves. And let's look at the schema just to get our bearings here. There's a fair bit of stuff. Oh, not too bad. I've got events here, which are the adventures that you might go on. And then I have memberships, an association table that pairs people, users, which are up here, one of the auth tables I'm spreading in. So I'm using a plugin that lets you do Lucia auth with Convex. And that's a password and email-based auth setup. Really just 3 main tables. And yeah, I was saying that one of the interesting bits was that I wanted this to still somehow work, even if you didn't have other people interactively joining. So I wanted to make it work so you could take this link for this event you've just created and send it to your friends and they could join your party. But even if you didn't have friends online at the time, it was still a useful thing somehow. So for that, in the backend function, when you create an adventure here, goes ahead and creates the adventure, does the CRUD interaction, adds this record to this table, and then it schedules a couple things. So it says, oh, let's have an NPC join in just 5 seconds. And then in 8 seconds from now, let's have another NPC join. And in 10 seconds from now, let's have another NPC join. So the goal being you hop on and you see this really interactive community.
Well, I want to hear about this AI that you used.
Well, this is so in theory, right? This is you're asking this management consultancy to do it for you, and to mock that out, we're just using this little AI page down here. There's a function called getExcuse. There's some, if you have an eye for this stuff, there's clearly some prompt injection vulnerability potential here, where I'm building this prompt, sending off to ChatGPT, and I'm just sticking some strings in there that the user provided. And so the thing you always want to think about when you're taking a string, sticking in a prompt, is that prompt could always say, forget what you were told to do this instead. There are techniques to try, but it's difficult to, in a foolproof way, prevent that. Here's what we know about these players. Tell me who should be dismissed. And come up, please respond to the style of a tactful management consultant trying to put a positive spin on things. So you're going to be fired, partyisfull.com.
Wow.
And we've got a little sales page here to talking about, hey, choosing who waits in camp is really the hard problem here. And so we've got our hometown management consultancy, Axe Ledger, who's here to help with this exciting product. So we can create a little adventuring party, terrifying rescue of tiefling orphans from a scary dragon. So we submit this, and look at that, Asterion and Gale, and now Will has joined too. So the problem now, my party is full. Shoot, what am I going to do? I could try to send somebody home myself, but I could just ask for help sending someone home. Do that, and we're waiting for a little bit while management consultants do whatever it is that they do. And then a little bit, it says, oh great, Tom Ballinger should be dismissed from the party. Great. Will's a solid adventurer. Compared to his teammates, he's relatively low level and might not bring so much value to this high-stakes, dangerous quest. Plus, time out on a less perilous mission could provide incredible growth opportunity for Tom, giving him a valuable chance to gain more experience. And maybe that's, I'm a level 1 bard.
Very funny that you wrote yourself out of your own party there.
Right, kind of a bummer. If I did make the cut, it would help me send somebody else home. That's the app. I don't care about the real, solution here. I would like to just tell me why I can dismiss Asterion, please. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I really liked your app. I think any app that like integrates with AI, it's really cool. And just using AI to figure out how to like kick someone out of your party. I'm always trying to think about like different ways to apply ChatGPT or GPT in general, just to like various applications, because it has so many different applications. So this is pretty cool.
It was pretty fun to have it there as just a catch-all. It's like, great, now I need a thing that is hard and it doesn't have to be good. It's like, great, there's a tool that sits there that is now we just have access to for doing things that don't need to be that good. If you need an 80% solution to some pros, you can just get it now.
I also really like that you managed to bring like the worst parts of reality into D&D, and I think that is that is an achievement. So my project, I wanted to do light for every adventure. And so I wanted to create a lamp store. What I really like about like a good e-commerce store is when they let you know, not with like the fake only 2 left in stock, order soon, but when it's like you should order it now if you don't want to wait for the restock. And then when they do run out of stock, giving you the ability to say, let me know when this is back in stock. So the way that I decided to go about this is I set up a convex database to track my lamps and then one to track my alerts. You can log in with your account. So I just use Clerk and Convex because they've got a really nice integration. You can read the lamps, you can get a single lamp. And then when you purchase, we load the individual lamp that you wanted to buy. We check the inventory. Then we figure out what the new inventory is. So either it's value -1 or 0 to make sure that we don't end up with negative inventory. And then if the inventory is 0, we take advantage of the Convex scheduler. So we can say like after 30 seconds, it restocks the lamp if it runs out. The other fun thing it does is it updates this inventory here. And then when you get down into the ad, we also check for any alerts. And if somebody has an alert for this particular lamp ID, then we set that alert to active. But the way that I tried to set this up is I wanted an updating toast so that if you're using a screen reader, it will tell you when the item comes back into stock. And the front end of this is as simple as I could make it. I pulled in Convex and Clerk. We pull in the pieces that we need from the API, the generated database stuff. And then we check if they're authenticated, give them the login, log out. And then down here, we just have a placeholder for where a toast will go if an alert is there. And otherwise, we just list the lamps. So then on the alert side is as simple as I could make it. I check to see if the person is logged in. If they are logged in, we grab out any alerts tied to their email. And then if the alert is true, that's what we actually return. So they only see active alerts for themselves. That's what shows up on the screen. And then if they want to hide the alert, we just remove it entirely. We delete it straight up from the database because it's only really valid the one time that you go back into stock. And then if you want to add an alert, there's a button that shows up when we're out of inventory. And this grabs your identity out and then adds an alert into the database that's inactive, that's for your email and the lamp ID. And that's basically the guts of my apps. Okay. Ooh. So this is the... So this is where I went way over on my time because I decided to draw these, and I don't know why I did that because I definitely spent longer drawing lamps than I did building this site.
It's like a lava lamp.
Yeah. And the way I made this work is when you click the buy button, it just decrements the inventory. There's no actual purchase flow. But so as I'm clicking this, we get down to 5 left in stock. And then as you click, it continually updates the inventory level until you get down to 0 left in stock where it goes to sold out. But then if I sign in here, and if I do it fast enough, let's see, then I can add a stock alert. You can get rid of your stock alert if you want, or we wait until the 30-second timeout hits. There. So then it bumps the inventory back up to 10, and we get our toast that says that it's back in stock. And if you were using a screen reader, that would be announced to you. And that's my app.
I didn't read the descriptions. Now I want Glenn Goldhart Stone of Summer Warmth. This is great. And I actually personally really like the toast solution. If you do see a live update happen while you're browsing the site, it's great to not have to go check your email or whatever it is.
We're telling the screen readers here with Atomic that whenever you change the contents, you're changing the entire content. So I think by default, it'll look for just what's changed. So if there's like a list, it'll only update like the one list item that has changed. But with this one, because the toasts have a lot of similar wording, I figured better safe than sorry. And just if the toast is updated, then, announce the entire toast. And then this ARIA Live here is like telling it to announce things, but not in an interrupting way. Because there's also, I think you can set it to be assertive is the other one. And if you set Aria Live to be that, it'll stop whatever it's announcing on the page to let you know that something changed, which would be like if, I think for like error messages or other kind of alert type things, wrote it just now. But I think you can just use the role of status here to get this to work. And then the other piece is on the low inventory, there's an alert that is, I think, maybe up at the top. Yeah, here. And I apparently didn't put this on. There's a role of alert that you can add. I need the role of either status or alert so that it lets people know when the inventory goes down. So that's an accessibility fix I can make right away.
Amazing. We're learning live with Jason.
I mean, personally, I just like to point out the scheduler in Convex. I've used that a couple times in the past. It's just really cool that you can kind of like schedule some arbitrary piece of code to run at any time in the future. It's just a really nice feature, and I like how you used it in this application. And I also like your drawings a lot. Like, I'm impressed that you did this stuff by hand.
It seems pretty simple. It's very direct in these backend functions. In my app, I had some trouble with, these things get kind of big, and this looks so clear to see.
I feel like I'm just kind of writing regular old JavaScript, like I'm not trying to wrestle my way into doing JavaScript around some other language. As always, all the source code is listed in the description below. Make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, maybe even join the channel, because that support means that I'm able to make more of these going into the future. And don't forget, leave a comment below, let me know what you want to see on a future episode of 4 Web Devs, 1 App Idea. Thanks again to Convex for sponsoring this episode and making it possible. Make sure you watch this one next for a little more fun and inspiration. Till next time, happy building.